Vic, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So, today in this, I suppose, interview, I want to talk about the crypto industry, building a business in crypto. So, to start off pretty basically, the crypto industry, give us an explanation of obviously what it is and how it's growing.
The crypto industry, what is it and how it's going? Is that your question? I lost you there for a second.
Yes, it is the question. It's a pretty broad
Okay.
question, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think a crypto industry, I mean, if you want to go back to the roots of why Bitcoin was invented and why cryptocurrency was invented, was to have people's money, a decentralized form of monetary system which can't be controlled or manipulated by a central authority figure. Um, and I would say for me, that's what cryptocurrency is, even to this day. It's having a monetary tool which you control, which is completely permissionless and decentralized. Um, I think for maybe now, many years later, it means different things for different people, whether you're using it as store of value or transactions like we do in Monero, or DeFi that you're seeing with smart contracts, smart blockchains. So I think it's grown from the original definition, um, but of course in the Monero world, payment and using it as a monetary tool still remains the number one reason, number one definition. What was your other question after that?
I suppose
How is
how
it
it's
growing?
growing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the genie's out of the bottle, right? It's not going to go backwards. It's not going to reduce. I think as time goes on, more and more people see the value in a monetary system that cannot be manipulated. More and more people are buying into that daily. More and more people want to be able to transact value and transmit value globally without seeking permission from a central authority. Um, so yeah, I think for those reasons, we're going to continue seeing growth.
So, you talked about it briefly, I suppose in a roundabout way, but providing real value versus, starting a pump and dump in crypto. So obviously, like a lot of people can and do go out and just start, you know, be it a dog token, be it, just a token hoping to capitalize off the latest trend. But why have you chosen? I mean, I kind of think the answer is pretty obvious, but why have you chosen to provide real value via Cake Wallet and Monero.com versus just starting a pump and dump? And why do you think other people should also do the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pump and dump, if you want to be a flash in the pan, um, and just be an overnight, fly by night type of operation and try to make a quick buck, but it's not going to last. You're going to ruin your reputation. You're going to ruin future prospects of other greater things you could be doing. Um, and a lot of these pump and dumps that you hear about the ones that succeed, right? But there's hundreds, maybe thousands, which try to do a pump and dump and come out with some bullshit token, which fails. Um, and what have you done? You've ruined your name, you've ruined your company name, you've ruined your reputation, and no one's going to listen to you in the future. So, I mean, you got to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you really want to help this industry grow? Do you want to provide tools to users? Uh, do you want to make crypto more accessible? Those are the questions I ask myself, and that's where I wanted to be. Build tools, help the industry.
So
Yeah.
why did you start a wallet then? Why did you start Cake Wallet and Monero.com? Obviously, you must have got in pretty early to even have the domain of Monero.com, right? So what gave
Yeah.
you? I mean, there's so many opportunities to pursuing crypto. So why specifically a wallet, especially when
Mhm.
we see a lot of wallets out there already?
Because to use cryptocurrency, to touch it, to access it, to receive it, to send it, to store it, I feel the wallet is your entry, is your tool that you use to manipulate the blockchain. There is no other way. You could be you could be buying Bitcoin, let's say, or Monero on Kraken or Coinbase, but that's like the AOL version of accessing the internet, right? You're not accessing it. You're accessing their central system, and then they're accessing the blockchain. And who knows? Are they? Are they just selling you paper crypto, right? So I felt the wallet is that thing, is the blockchain. The blockchain lives in the cloud. It's a for most people, it's just an imaginary thing. Oh, these miners are running somewhere. The nodes are running somewhere. But how, as a user, how do you access it? So the wallet is your entry, is your window to the blockchain, is the way to access your crypto. So that's why I think a wallet for me was crypto, is part of crypto. So that's why I decided to do a wallet. And namely Monero, because there was no iPhone wallet for Monero back then in 2017 when we started building it. And I wanted to make it easier for everyone to use Monero, to access Monero on the iPhone. And yeah, that's how I started.
So,
And you can read about it on my Reddit post today, the whole history of Cake Wallet. Yeah.
it's a 5 year anniversary, right?
Yes, 5-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's
Thank
cool,
you.
man.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's cool. So you must have got in pretty early for Monero.com then. You own the domain, right?
I do own the domain, but I only bought that 2 years ago, early 2021.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who owned it previously, if I can
yeah.
ask?
I think it was a home construction company, completely
Okay.
non-related. Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
think there are two partners in the construct. Yeah, yeah. I think two partners in the construction company. One of them whose last name started with MON, and the other partner whose last name started with ERO. So if you looked at their website, it was actually Mon/Ero, the owners, the owners' names. So yeah, I just
That's
reached
funny.
out one day and I said, "Hey, do you want to sell it?" And we negotiated and made a deal. Yeah,
How
yeah.
much did you pay for the domain?
It's been discussed publicly many times, so about close to 400,000.
Oh, it's a good deal for the Mon and Aero brothers.
Yeah.
Um, why do you think that somebody should start a business in crypto? So obviously, as you mentioned, started as Bitcoin. It's really expanded out to a lot of other different areas, DeFi and the whole smart contract.
Yeah.
I suppose use case in general. And there's a lot of different like functions that somebody can play. So why do you think someone should invest their money in starting a business in crypto versus just buying crypto outright versus just being in a different industry altogether?
Hmm. I think opportunity. Right now, crypto is still very much the Wild West. Uh, you can enter and you can stake a claim in the area. Um, it's still very early. There's still opportunities to build tools, build platforms, build systems, um, build e-commerce based on. I mean, even something like basic like e-commerce using crypto. The other day, I saw on Twitter something about insurance and mortgage on DeFi. I think that's a natural evolution. So there's so much to do, uh, so much disruption you can create in traditional systems and businesses. A lot out there, a lot out there.
And what opportunities do you see to do that? Specifically, what businesses can, say, even like Cake Wallet partner with, or just what big wide open opportunities do you see out there?
Right. Well, I don't want to give that up.
What's a good starting point, nevertheless?
I mean, that's a tough question. That's really a tough question. I mean, just it's going to depend on the experience you have in whatever industry you're in already. Look for opportunities there. Look for uh, ingrained structures that you can disrupt using crypto. Um, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think you got to use your knowledge of traditional businesses and somehow apply crypto to that traditional business.
So, what do you think about a lot of the use cases we see in crypto? Do you think a lot of them are even useful to start with? Do you think there's only a limited handful of use cases?
Um, it's funny. I'll just speak about technology in general, right? We always think about the future of technology in what we know today, right? Um, and I always bring this up as an example. You watch, like I always bring up the example of you watch sci-fi movies from the 1950s, and you look in the spaceship, and they have massive CRT, old style TVs as their monitors, because they never envisioned, flat screen LCDs or LEDs or OLEDs or whatever we have now. So we always seem to think about the future in terms of the technology that we know today. And it's really hard to stop doing that, and look beyond that. Um, so my answer to that would be just start with something. Even if you can't see past that, start today with whatever it is you're in. I don't know, you have a small business of, I don't know, washing cars. I'm just using the most basic type of thing. Start accepting crypto, you know, and that'll lead to other things. You'll, meet other people that are, oh, you take crypto. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Or wouldn't it be cool if you could do this, if you could do that? So, and that'll lead you to other things. So my answer to your question would be start somewhere. Start somewhere, and then you can build on top of that.
So, you kind of answered my next question as well, which was how to build a business in crypto. But from your experience, what do you think the best way to go about it is?
How to build a business in crypto. Uh, I guess depends on your technical know-how and your financial condition. Um, if it's something you can build on your own and you don't need financial help, I would say start. If you have an idea but need investment, need developers, people reach out to me all the time and say, "Hey, Vic, I have an idea. Would you want to invest?" And I'll look into it and sometimes say yes or no. For me, Cake Wallet, uh, I was fortunate enough to, my wife and I funded it on our own. We didn't have to seek out investors, angel investors, or VCs or anything like that. Now, that doesn't mean in the future we won't seek out, additional funding. Let's say we want to do something that is beyond my capability to fund. Um, so again, it depends on your individual situation, both technical knowledge and financial situation. Anyone that's listening, if you have a idea in mind and you are seeking funding, yeah, give me a call. Drop me a Twitter message, and we can talk about it.
How does Cake Wallet have revenue? Like, I've thought about this before, and I've thought about even a
Mm.
lot of wallets, for example. I can't really figure it out.
Yeah, our model is very simple. Our model is really simple. Um, initially we launched just as a wallet, right? You can send and receive and store your Monero, and that's it. You can create a wallet, restore a wallet. That's about it. Um, I didn't want to charge users for just using the wallet, for just using the blockchain, because that again it goes against um, the idea of what cryptocurrency was meant to be, right? So we wanted an obtrusive way to generate revenue, to keep development going, to keep supporting the wallet. So that's where we introduced the third-party exchanges. Actually, the initial two exchanges we had in the wallet are not there anymore, which was Morph Token and XMR.2. xmr.to. They're not there anymore. So basically, we act like a storefront. So, we implement the exchange or the use of the exchange, and whatever fees the exchanges are collecting from the user, they share that part of that fee with us. So it's very basic. That's our revenue model for Cake Wallet. And even now with gift cards and debit cards that we have for Cake Wallet, um, the supplier, the provider of those cards, shares some of that revenue with us.
Pretty simple, I
Yeah.
suppose. Cool, cool.
Sorry.
Um, no, I said pretty simple. That's obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I haven't actually tried out Cake Pay yet. So obviously you guys released in the
Mm.
US first. Then I'm currently in El
Yeah.
Salvador, and I saw that you expanded out to El Salvador, but I haven't got around to it yet. But I really want to, because I'm coming to America
Congrats.
shortly, and I really want to pay for everything in Monero just to get the thrill out of it. Because obviously you can pay for things
Yeah.
in Bitcoin here, so you kind of just get one back.
Well, yeah, give it a try. In the US, we give like 1 to 3% discount on each card. So, yeah,
How many
give it
retailers?
a try and let me know.
How many retailers were there gift cards for?
I think it's 40,000 locations in the US, yeah. And then if you're using it online, of course, it's endless. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, there's a gazillion small businesses and all that kind of stuff. But as generally speaking, those 40,000 gift cards, will that get you a long way, if you know what I mean? Like, is there pretty much everything you
Yeah.
can buy with those 40,000 gift cards?
Yeah, pretty much. And now with Cake Pay Web, you can get prepaid debit cards, prepaid Visa cards. Um, and with that, then it's endless. You can use it anywhere. It takes a debit card.
So I want to go back to the beginning now. So I know that you obviously have business within crypto, but I know you have business with outside crypto too. But I want to go even further back than that. How did you get started in life? Where, for lack of a better word, did you have a good upbringing and you leveraged, say your family wealth to build into businesses? Did you build it all from scratch? I'm really curious.
Uh, I, I wish I could say I built it from scratch, but I've been very fortunate. Um, Actually, my father started our steel business back in '81 in Pittsburgh, um, and he passed away a few years ago. Um, but yeah, so I joined the family business when I joined him when I graduated college. So I did electrical engineering at Case Western Reserve. Um, but I was always a computer nerd, I guess. Even in the '80s, I know you probably nobody that old listening to your podcast, but even in the '80s, I taught myself basic and assembly, machine language on an Apple II. I tweet about it still quite a bit. But I think the last time I coded anything was probably '92, final year in college. After that, never did anything. Um, so yeah, I joined up with my dad. Um, we grew the business, and then I split off in kind of a parallel business in 2005 when I was 35, um, which did well. It was a steel machinery business, so we were making rolling mills and processing lines for the steel industry. Um, and then about 5 years ago, I got asked to be on this Liberty Steel, to come on in Liberty Steel and help grow the U.S. presence. So I came on as a first person, and now we're up to 1,500 people in the U.S., 8 locations. We do about $1 billion in sales, um, about 800,000 tons of steel production a year. Um, so that's done well. I'm still the president of that company, Liberty Steel US, and so yeah, I mean, I tweet about this all the time as well. I've been very fortunate. Um, Somebody asked, when did you get your lucky break in life? And I said, my whole life has been a lucky break. So, see. Yeah, I've been fortunate. I meet the right people. Uh, Everyone I meet in life has been great. I've been able to work with pretty much everybody. Um, Just keep a positive outlook, keep a friendly outlook, and good things will come your way.
To kind of shift gears altogether, I always like talking about a few specific topics: CBDCs, social credit scores, and the
Mm,
dirty dark word, the dark net markets.
mm,
So I think it's pretty obvious that CBDCs and social credit scores. Well, I'm 99.9% sure CBDCs are going to come out. I'm more than 50% sure social credit scores will come out at some period in time. And I like to sort of
mm,
relate it back to the dark net and obviously Monero in this case. So a situation like this with CBDCs and social credit scores is obviously a situation where the world is going to be lacking in a lot of areas of freedom. For example, individual liberties will pretty much go out the door,
mm,
and that's why I like to use Monero as an example. So the darknet is really just a free market where it's literally possibly the only free market in the world, right? And when we look at this free market, we see that when people are under, you know, adversarial circumstances, people are choosing Monero. I like to look at it as the only free market in the world is choosing Monero. So break it down for us. CBDCs and social credit scores. Do you think they're going to happen? How big of a threat do you think they are? And then we can touch on it after. But the dark net markets, I suppose Monero's adoption on the dark net markets. What significance does that have?
sure. Well, firstly, CBDCs. I don't view that as a threat to cryptocurrency in general, and especially not to Monero, because government issued money is already digital, right? A lot of places, you can't spend more than $500 cash or $600 cash, and many stores you walk into, it already says no cash, credit card only. So I feel like we're already there. The movement of your money and spending habits is already being tracked. So I don't see CBDCs a further threat than already what we have today. Um, Monero or Bitcoin, whatever you want to use, will continue to exist parallelly. Um, and I think at some point, governments, authorities, okay, either work with us, either find a way to have cryptocurrencies and Monero specifically somehow be integrated into a, what should I say, to be a law-abiding, tax-paying, good credit score, as you brought up, social credit score, citizen. Um, so I think it has to happen. I mean, look at Bitcoin. You brought up darknet markets. 10 years ago, everybody says, oh, Bitcoin's only used in the darknet markets. Look at Silk Road. You bring up Bitcoin to somebody and they'll say, oh, is that the drug coin? Is that the darknet market coin? Stay away from that. Governments are going to ban it. And what do we have now? We have regulation. We have bit license in New York State. We have um, legal exchanges. You can go ahead and get licenses to operate crypto exchanges. You can declare them on your taxes. The U.S. IRS has a field right in your crypto addresses. Again, whether you agree with that or not is a different issue. But the point I'm making is it was integrated into the existing systems. And I think with Monero, we're going through the same thing right now. Oh, it's the darknet coin. Oh, it's private. You can't track it. And it can be used for illegal things. Well, so can Bitcoin. So can any cryptocurrency. So, so either the government's authorities have to work with this, knowing that they can't get rid of it, or it'll continue remaining in the dark net as a parallel economy. Um, but I think in the future it somehow will be integrated. Um, I'm not as pessimistic, and how I don't know how old you are, but when I went to college, you were scared, really scared about being caught with marijuana. You would freeze up if you saw a cop and you were, at a party and there was marijuana there. You were. it was scary. You could go into jail for years and years and years, right? But what's happened now? Marijuana is legal. I would have never imagined it, but I'm assuming it's because people my age are in positions of power in government, what have you, and corporations. And, we realized back then, hey, this thing's really not that bad or it should be part of the system. And we're there. Um, so I agree with you. We're definitely going to lose some freedoms, and we have lost some freedoms, and we'll continue to lose some freedoms. But in some ways, we're freer than we were before. Um, I know some of your listeners won't like that, and people flip out. Oh, Vic's you know, government guy and all this stuff, which I'm not. I'm just trying to be more realistic about it.
What do you think's going to happen then? How do you see the fiat, what I call the fiat Ponzi? How do you see it playing out? Do you think inflation is going to go through the roof? Do you think the dollar's going to cease to exist? I mean, how do you see it all playing out?
I think the U.S. dollar is so ingrained in the U.S. and worldwide. It's almost the world currency. I don't see that being phased out in our lifetime. Um, just because it's just too massive, too many systems. It's too ingrained in our society, business, culture, banking, life, you name it. But what will happen is the continuous, depreciation. Um, every day you hold it, every day you use it, um, is just going to be worth less and less and less, and that's why I think you're going to need cryptocurrency. And some people say gold. I'm not a huge believer of gold as a store of value, but um, but it'll definitely outperform fiat in general. It'll be a hedge against depreciation of fiat. And I think that depreciation and continuous printing of money is going to eventually drive and continue to drive inflation. Maybe not at the rate we saw last 2 years because of the massive printing in 2021 and 2022, those 2 years. But definitely, I mean, look at the history of the U.S. dollar for the last 50 years. There's there's definitely periods where you have massive inflation, but overall inflation is going up and up and up. Um, but I think that's the nature of fiat. I think that's how it's designed to be after we left the gold standard and blah blah blah. So I think that's the system to support population growth, to keep increasing the GDP, to keep turning the money. That's the number one sign of a good economy, right? Any economy, to make it good, you have to make sure the money keeps flowing. It's just not sitting in banks somewhere, not being used for investment or create jobs or create industry. Um, so I think for all those reasons, I think one feeds the other. Um, you need inflation, you need to turn the money, you need GDP growth, you need population growth, blah blah blah. Like a perpetual cycle.
Of course. And one last question to leave our viewers with. Do you think it's better to start building a business in crypto now during the during the bear market, or do you think it's better to wait till more prosperous times in the bull market?
I think both times are good, but I think in the bear market, it's better. You have less competition. People aren't worth what they were 2 years ago. People are holding onto their money. So if you do have excess cash or if you have access to capital, definitely start building now. So you'll be up and running at the next bull run, and you can reap the benefits.
Vic, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.